This is Valley View News, and here are today's headlines. Thousands of people gathered in Santa Monica for a breast cancer awareness event. A CSUN English professor wins a national award for his book. The CSUN Faculty Senate voted not to comply with Executive Order 1100.
Hello, and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Amber Partida.
And I'm Dahlia Perez.
President Donald Trump's former campaign manager and his associates surrendered to the FBI Monday after being indicted. Paul Manafort and Rick Gates turned themselves in after the indictments were handed up. These are the first charges filed by Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller. A federal grand jury indicted Manafort and Gates on 12 charges, including money laundering and conspiracy against the United States. These allegations also include making false statements and failing to file foreign bank and financial accounts. They pled not guilty to all 12 charges. Prosecutors asked for Manafort to be held on a $10 million bail and for Gates to be held for $5 million. Trump responded on Twitter, claiming there was no collusion between his campaign and the Russians. The White House says the announcement has nothing to do with the president and his campaign. Manafort was Trump's campaign manager from June to August of 2016. He resigned after reports surfaced that he allegedly took money from a pro-Russian political party in Ukraine.
The former foreign policy advisor to presidential candidate Donald Trump, George Papadopoulos, pled guilty to lying to the FBI about his connections with Russian nationals. Papadopoulos allegedly met with a Russian professor in March 2016 who claimed to have dirt on Hillary Clinton. He says the meeting was before he got his job in the Trump campaign, claiming the connection was superficial. However, court records show it was an arranged meeting between Russians and Trump campaign officials. The guilty plea followed the indictments of former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and associate Rick Gates. Papadopoulos continues to cooperate with prosecutors on the case.
Puerto Rico's Electric Power Authority has canceled a $300 million contract with Whitefish Energy Holdings. The electric company says Whitefish was negatively impacting efforts to restore power to the island. FEMA says there are significant concerns about how the contract was made. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke was questioned about his connections to Whitefish since it's headquartered in his hometown. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders denied Zinke's involvement.
He reiterated once again that we have no role, the federal government, and specifically he had no role in that contract.
Whitefish says they're disappointed, but it vows to finish any work that's already in progress. Whitefish got a no-bid contract to restore power to Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria. Nearly 80% of the island is still without power.
Some Sun Valley homes are at risk of being hit with mudslides after wildfires consumed most of the local vegetation. The lack of vegetation combined with rainfall can cause mudslides in the hills. The Department of Public Works believes 300 homes could be impacted by debris and mudslides when the rain season starts.
Residents in Irwindale have concerns about the city's mining sites. Valley View reporter Tyler Jones has more.
Have you ever noticed the vast mining pits along the 210 and 605 freeway through Irwindale? The city has 17 gravel pits. The pits may be putting neighboring residents at risk. The city of Irwindale insists the operation is safe.
We pursued a very thorough environmental impact report.
The pits located between Olive and Los Angeles streets have Baldwin Park residents concerned for their health. The main health concern is air contamination from machinery and dust debris. Groundwater contamination is another concern.
As someone who has asthma, it brings up a lot of dust, makes it hard to clean, and it's hard to breathe sometimes, so it's not my favorite.
United Rock Products owns and operates a 300-acre mine in Irwindale. The project will be done in phases. The goal is to extract 32 million tons of aggregate material through 2052. Sriracha, Ready Pack Foods, and Pepsi Bottling Company also border the site. In Baldwin Park, Tyler Jones.
California's tax increase on gas and diesel went into effect this week. The gas tax was 12 cents more per gallon. The diesel tax added 20 cents per gallon. The increases were approved by legislature and Governor Jerry Brown in April. The taxes will add $5.2 billion for road and bridge repairs statewide. Mass transit will be expanded as well. One group has already launched a campaign to repeal the tax increases.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The American Cancer Society hosted a walk every weekend in Los Angeles last month. Valley View reporter Maybelline Kaplu has more information.
The American Cancer Society held its annual Making Strides Against Breast Cancer event in Santa Monica last Saturday. Hundreds walked the streets to support the cause. The event is a non-competitive 3 to 5 mile walk.
I'm still going through the reconstruction process, and it's been a slow process, but I feel very blessed, very, very blessed, because with the Lord up there, I wouldn't be here today.
Many organizations supported the event to help spread awareness. About $75,000 were raised from the walk. Funds will go to programs that support cancer screening and prevention.
We fight cancer in many different ways. One of the many ways we do it is by trying to engage Congress in our efforts and get their support to increase funding for cancer research through the National Cancer Institute.
Aside from skin cancer, breast cancer is the most common type of cancer for women. In the U.S., 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Breast cancer is less common for men. 1 out of 1,000 men will develop breast cancer in their lifetime.
I have been walking for several years. I started walking when my aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer and have been walking ever since. And then during the course of that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
There's no guarantee to preventing breast cancer, but the American Cancer Society recommends to exercise and maintain a healthy weight in order to lower risks. In Santa Monica for Valley View News, I'm Maybelline Kaplu.
Now let's go to Brittany Perez with the latest in social media and tech. Hi Brittany, what do you have for us today?
New technology and treatments are coming forth in breast cancer research. Breast surgeon Dr. Priti Shubhadar from the Winship Cancer Institute says each cancer needs a specific treatment.
It really depends on the type of breast cancer you have in terms of the receptor status, how you present, and what additional treatments you're going to have.
Treatments previously included only surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. Doctors are now using genomic testing to weed out unnecessary treatment. New technology like 3D mammograms help cut down on false positives. Breast imaging radiologist Anna Holbrook says these incorrectly indicate breast cancer.
They think they have cancer and they really don't, so they have to go through several days or weeks of worry.
The iPhone X isn't only the most expensive iPhone to date, but now its repairs are too. Repairing an iPhone 8 screen cost $169. Repairing an iPhone 10 screen, $275. Repair prices decrease if you have Apple Care Plus. This only covers 2 accidental damages. The new phone has an all-glass display and now an all-glass back. Owners run a greater risk of cracking either side. Apple says the glass on both the 8 and the 10 are now stronger and harder to break. Early next year, Walmart will have scanner robots in about 50 U.S. stores. The 2-foot-tall robots use cameras to check out shelves for out-of-stock items or incorrect prices. The robots send the information to workers. They then fix the problems or restock the shelves. The robots are supposed to free up more time for employees so they can focus on guests. Still, some are concerned this could lead to job cuts. I mean, just look at the self-checkout registers. Walmart's been making strides in technology. The company unveiled a new home delivery system this fall that lets employers deliver and actually stock groceries in your home without you being there. Southwest Airlines will expand its live in-flight concert service.
Hey, I know that the woes and the weight of the world can get inside our minds. Do you ever feel that way?
This has been a service since 2011, but now it's becoming more frequent. They're called Flight at 35 concerts. They're done with partnership with Warner Music Nashville. That means most of the music will be pop country. There's already been some social media backlash, and for those passengers who were expecting to take a nap on their flight, it gets worse. Southwest isn't saying which flights will feature the concerts, so passengers won't have a way of opting out. That's all I have for today. Back to you.
Thank you, Brittany. Coming up after the break, a news analyst is under fire for sexual assault allegations.
And controversial Confederate statues are being relocated. We'll be right back.
Look at these boots.
Man, those are nice. You should buy them.
Half the price of the real thing. Do you want them?
The production and sale of counterfeit goods cause more harm than meets the eye.
Get to work!
And the profits can fund organized crime.
So, do you want them?
Buying counterfeit products?
No way.
It's just not worth it.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
So I've come up with the family emergency plan.
Great. What is it?
It's difficult to talk about, so I'm not telling you.
How will we know what to do?
You won't.
I'm so glad I won't have to remember anything.
And me too. Thanks for this, sweetie.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
NBC News and MSNBC terminated their contracts with analyst Mark Halperin. He was released because of sexual assault and harassment allegations. Halperin's termination came days after 5 women accused him of sexual misconduct while he was at ABC News. Another 7 women have since made similar accusations. Halperin tweeted that he was sorry for the pain and anguish that his past actions caused.
A historic Virginia church is relocating 2 plaques that honor Generals George Washington and Confederate Robert E. Lee. Both attended the church. The leaders of Christ Church in Alexandria sent a letter to congregation members explaining the decision. The letter mentions how the plaques started to create a distraction and could interfere with the church's identity as a welcoming place. The decision comes after the violence that emerged from the white nationalist and neo-Nazi rallies in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Robotic vehicles are making their way to the battlefield. Back in August, Russia showed off a machine gun firing and self-driving mini-tank. Israel already uses unmanned vehicles to patrol some of the country's borders. And the U.S. Army is developing convoy trucks that will drive themselves. They are also working on a system called Wingman, which is an unmanned 4-wheel drive vehicle that could be fired remotely.
Catalonia's president and members of his cabinet fled to Belgium last week. Carles Puigdemont and 5 of his former ministers left before Spain's government could indict them. Spain's attorney general wants the national court to charge Puigdemont and his administrators. He says the Catalan government defied Spain's constitution by holding an election to separate from Spain. Spain's prime minister ruled Catalonia's declaration of independence was unconstitutional. Belgium's prime minister says an asylum request for Puigdemont isn't on the agenda. Puigdemont's lawyer says he hasn't decided to seek asylum. Judges will consider the Attorney General's request to indict the independent leaders.
Uhuru Kenyatta was elected Kenya's new president after an election rerun last week. Kenyatta won 98% of the votes. There was a 38% voter turnout. Kenyatta expressed gratitude.
On behalf of my family, on behalf of my deputy and his family, to take this opportunity, first and foremost, to thank God.
Minutes after the victory announcement, angry protests broke out in the city of Kibra. The country remains divided between ethnic groups.
Mayor Eric Garcetti says he won't run for governor in 2018. Garcetti tweeted that he wants to continue serving as LA's mayor. 2021 will be Garcetti's last year as mayor. He won his second 4-year term in March. Several people are seeking to replace Brown, including 4 Republicans and Democrat former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa.
A CSU executive order caused protests here at CSUN. Let's go to Alyssa Hoekstra in the Digital Media Center for more on that story.
Last week, many students participated in the Week of Action protests. They were seeking to overturn the CSU system's Executive Order 1100. The order attempts to end cross-cultural comparative studies as a general education requirement by fall 2018. Events were held on campus Monday through Thursday. They included boycotting on campus purchases, a solidarity walkout, and a rally before the Faculty Senate meeting. The CSUN Faculty Senate voted not to comply with the Executive Order 1100. A motion was passed to postpone the matter and to re-vote at the next faculty meeting. The faculty president says it's uncertain what the CSU's Chancellor's Office will do if it doesn't comply with the order. The next Faculty Senate meeting will be October 26th. That's all I have for you. I'm Melissa Hoekstra in the Digital Media Center. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Alyssa. A Cal State Northridge English professor won the 2017 Penn Center USA Fiction Award. Valley View reporter Cameron Parrish reports from the award ceremony.
Each year, Penn Center USA honors several writers in many different genres. This year, CSUN English professor Martin Poussin was one of the honorees. He received an award for his latest book, Black Sheep Boy. The book discusses issues of race and gender equality that people face regularly.
I wanted to make a book that any young person struggling with an identity of any kind that is not sanctioned, they could read the book and feel as if they could go out and express their own voice.
Breaking silence on issues that people aren't normally willing to talk about is the key to Professor Poussin's success.
There is a brazenness to his writing and what he talks about that blows me away. That I don't know how, I could never be that.
Professor Poussin says it means the world to him to be honored with an award for writing something that defends the unlawfully censored, and he hopes his book will make the world a better place. I am Cameron Parrish in Beverly Hills for Valley View News.
Now let's check in on the world of entertainment with Star Harvey. Hi Star, what's new?
Hi Dahlia. Kevin Spacey was accused of making an unwanted sexual advance to actor Anthony Rapp. Rapp says Spacey came on to him when he was 14 years old. He says it happened at Spacey's apartment after a 1986 party. Rapp says he went to a room to watch TV. Spacey came into the room. He then allegedly put Rapp on the bed and got on top of him. Spacey released a statement saying he was beyond horrified to hear the story. He also said that he doesn't remember the incident, but if he did behave like he said he did, he owes Rapp an apology for inappropriate drunken behavior. Spacey also came out and said he's gay. Actress Rose McGowan gave a speech last week at the Women's Convention in Michigan. It was her first public appearance since accusing Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein of raping her. McGowan said it was time for her to speak up.
I have been silenced for 20 years. I have been slut-shamed. I have been harassed. I've been maligned. And you know what? I'm just like you.
As spokesperson for Weinstein continues to deny allegations of non-consensual sex with women. McGowan started the hashtag RoseWomen, encouraging women to speak out against sexual assault. Stan Lee's Comic-Con was at the LA Convention Center last weekend. This year's event gave pop culture fans the chance to show off their best cosplay. The convention featured a number of comic legends and superhero actors, with special guest panelists Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It also included opportunities for small businesses, comic book artists, and printing companies. This is the 7th year Stan Lee has hosted the Comic-Con. Michael Jackson was named the 2017 top-earning dead celebrity by Forbes. Jackson died 8 years ago from a drug overdose. The superstar topped the list for 5 years. This year, the ranking earned his estate $75 million. Forbes says part of Jackson's earnings come from a new greatest hits album. Golf legend Arnold Palmer is the second highest deceased earner, followed by Elvis Presley at number 4 and Bob Marley at number 5. That's it for entertainment. Back to you.
When we come back, the NFL protests are still in full effect.
And we'll hear from Daniel Martindale, who has the latest in sports.
Did you make the transfer to Hong Kong for the Emerson project?
I was just about to, but did you see the boss's email? It doesn't look right.
It looked fine to me.
I don't remember him mentioning the Emerson project at our last meeting.
The bank in Hong Kong closes in 15 minutes. Make the transfer.
Yes, sir. It's on the way.
Mr. Jacobs, just transferred the money for the Emerson project.
What Emerson project?
Don't be that guy. Trust but verify.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt. Oops. Yellow pants, red pants, green pants. Oops.
As protests continue in the NFL, players and owners will reschedule a meeting to discuss a solution on the protest during the national anthem. Houston Texans owner Robert McNair's comment about inmates running the prison sparked controversy. Houston Texan players knelt during the national anthem in last Sunday's game against the Seattle Seahawks. Offensive tackle Dwayne Brown supported anyone's decision to join the protest.
I'm never going to force anybody to do anything that they don't feel comfortable with. I think we all felt the same way on Friday, and as far as the demonstration went, some people didn't feel quite comfortable doing it, some people did, but we all supported each other, and that was what was important. I don't think anyone looks at anyone differently.
Some players considered not showing up to the game despite McNair's apology about his remarks.
Well, that was some Game 5, Daniel. It seemed to be going on forever.
That was quite the show they put on. It might have been the best baseball game ever, and I haven't checked. They might still be playing at this point. It went so long. Anyway, Houston, we have liftoff. Game 5 of the World Series was a heavyweight slugfest, and it needed an extra round to decide who would be on the verge of getting knocked out. President Bush, about the only pitcher who didn't give up a home run in this one. Dodgers were able to get out to a comfortable lead, 4-0 in the first, but there's no such thing as a comfortable lead in this one. Yuli Gurriel ties it on one swing off of Clayton Kershaw, but that lead evaporated with Cody Bellinger's bomb in the next inning. But then Jose Altuve ties it up in the 7th with a 3-run homer of his own in the next half inning. Back and forth we go. Where it stops, nobody knows. 7th inning, Bellinger back up and he lines one past the diving George Springer. The normally sure-handed center fielder misses it, and the Dodgers take back the lead. But then Springer redeems himself on the first pitch of the very next inning. That one explodes over the train tracks and left. Brandon Morrow had pitched in every game of the series, and he was just about out of gas. He gives up another home run to Carlos Correa, landing in the Crawford boxes. The Dodgers are down by 3 and seem out of it. But then Yasiel Puig hits a 2-run shot, the 7th of the game, and a record-breaking 22nd home run of the World Series in only Game 5. Then by some sort of miracle, Chris Taylor hits it up the middle to tie it up at 12. Dodgers trying to pull off the miracle comeback, but with 2 on and 2 out in the bottom of the 10th, Alex Bregman ends it for the Astros on the first pitch he sees. They take a 3-2 series lead, forcing the Dodgers into a must-win situation at home. And this one honestly just came down to home field advantage. If baseball didn't have a sudden death rule, they might still be playing. Well, getting lost in all this Dodgers madness is the totally ice-melting hot start the Kings have had. Heading into Saturday's game against the Boston Bruins, they had only lost 1 game in regulation all season. So, could they keep it going in the Boston Garden? Well, early in the first, Bruins cycling the puck. Charlie McAvoy's pass is tipped by Brad Marchand, who always has a nose for the net, just past the diving Jonathan Quick. Kings are down early, as they often are. That's fine, though. They don't seem to stay down for too long anymore. About 3 minutes later, a simple shoot-in for the Kings, but Boston's defense doesn't see Tyler Toffoli coming up. He makes them pay for a turnover, deking and scoring past Tuukka Rask on the backhand. Game remained tied at 1 throughout because of saves like this one coming up by Rask. Jonathan Quick did the same the other end. Both teams battled in overtime until there was just 0.9 seconds to go. We were destined for a shootout until the most improbable play in all of sports happened.
0% chance that could happen. Kopitar with Doughty in the shooter's position. Toffoli the right shot at the edge of the circle. Toffoli scores! Unbelievable!
Oh, do you believe it? Tyler Toffoli scores on a once-in-a-lifetime shot. Perfect face-off win, perfect timing on the release, perfect speed and accuracy, all within half a second. You will never see another hockey game won that way. The Kings have been winning games in all varieties lately, but this is the topper. Call the cops. The Kings are now 9-1-1. That makes them the best team in the entire NHL. Next up for them is a matchup with the St. Louis Blues, which features the 2 top teams in the entire league. Well, to the racetrack now. The NASCAR playoffs began with 16 drivers and are now down to the round of 8. Winning one of the next 3 races would automatically qualify a driver for the championship race. Last Sunday, they raced at Martinsville, a short track that often means short tempers. Let's pick it up in the closing moments of the 500-lap race. Chase Elliott, one of NASCAR's most snake-bitten drivers, still looking for his first ever Cup Series win, passes Brad Keselowski, holding off Denny Hamlin late in the race. Then he spins him out. The 24 team's hopes literally go up in smoke. As you can see here, the 11 car drives straight into Elliott's back bumper, not even trying to make the corner. More on those two in a moment. Now we go to the final restart of the race in overtime. Hamlin gets passed by teammate Kyle Busch, who steals the victory from him. He grabs a spot in the final 4 as a massive wreck happens behind them. Oh, what a mess that was. After the race, though, Denny gets visited by an old friend. Chase Elliott isn't too happy and drives him straight into a wall, but that wasn't the end. They both get out of their cars and up into each other's grills, officials separating them before they really blew a fuse. Elliott upset with Denny Hamlin, screaming at him, "Hey man, you wrecked me. Admit it, you wrecked me." He's obviously upset. After having a chance at his first career Cup win, he instead finished 27th. Afterwards, Hamlin was met by a massive chorus of boos from the fans in his home state of Virginia. Well, those guys looked about as angry as we do when the Dodgers lose. But guys, I will say this team has shown time and again that it will not quit. And games 6 and 7 are at home. Everything's going to be okay. I have a feeling. All right, guys.
Thanks, Daniel. Recreational marijuana sales start January 1st in California, but some big cities are having problems introducing regulations for weed shops. Meanwhile, marijuana vendors can get temporary licenses in January. State officials still don't have a plan showing how the marijuana industry will be regulated. Some vendors say they're confused about what the rules are for selling marijuana in neighborhoods. Suppliers and vendors say they also need more information about what they can and can't do. The marijuana business is expected to be a $7 billion marketplace in California.
The historic Grand Central Market in downtown LA turned 100 last Friday. The market endured World War II and the Great Depression. A Los Angeles family purchased the market in 1984, and it has continued to grow over the years. Mayor Eric Garcetti shared memories of taking his wife on dates and meeting his future father-in-law at the market. They celebrated the 100-year anniversary with an enormous cake by Valerie Confections.
What's scarier than a group of kids marching in protest?
More candy! More fun! More fun!
The mayor of Brooks County, Ohio, was greeted by a group of angry little goblins last week. 4th graders marched straight to his office at City Hall. They demanded trick-or-treat hours in their city to be extended a half hour, giving them an 8:30 curfew. Children aren't allowed to trick-or-treat in the dark in their city. They wanted more time to get candy, more time to be in a costume, and more time to be with family and friends. The kids even brought a petition full of signatures to the mayor.
How many are in favor of this? Raise their hand.
About 200 on here.
200?
Yeah.
In the end, the mayor was outnumbered. Their protest was successful, and they will have an extra half hour of tricks, treats, and fun.
Thank you for watching Valley View News. I'm Amber Partita.
And I'm Dahlia Perez. See you next time.